All right, welcome to another episode of the Cassels Cast. My name's Eamon Cassels. Joining me today is going to be Charlie Bischoff to break down the first two opening nights of the NBA season. We discussed the games from Tuesday and Wednesday night. There was a ton of great games there, but we also recorded right before the Thursday night games, and both of those games were just insane. So before my conversation with Charlie, I'm just going to quickly go over some of my thoughts from Thursday night games because they were just simply too good not to talk about. I think we got to start with the Nuggets and Warriors, which was an overtime game. Just totally insane. I think just biggest takeaways, obviously, Aaron Gordon had 50 points, and his shooting leap from last year looked very, very real. I think for a Nuggets team that I personally predicted to win the championship, obviously they ended up losing the game, but that game somehow made me feel even more confident about my Nuggets pick. I just think if Gordon's shooting the ball like that, this team's like truly unstoppable, and their offense is going to reach an even more absurd level, along with already having the best player in the world. They now have two guys in Murray and Gordon that look like legitimate elite complementary co-stars. So I think that's huge for them. In addition to just shooting absurdly well, I think he was like 10 for 11 from three. Gordon did a really nice job of like attacking mismatches, attacking the rim when it was necessary, and then he's just always like in the right place, always super impactful on defense. So yeah, I mean he's just a really awesome player, and I feel like he's a guy that every NBA fan can root for. So really awesome game from Gordon. Very encouraged with what I saw from the Nuggets. Even though they lost, I mean, they just kind of ran into Steph Curry in the clutch, who was just absolutely absurd. He had like 40 something points. He went on an absurd run at the end. I think he had like 13 or 16 points just in that fourth quarter alone, and he was the only one really scoring for the Warriors. So, I mean, like, when you lose to Steph Curry, who's truly one of the greatest players of all time and just an incredibly elite shooter, I mean, what are you going to do? It happens to the best of us, clearly. I don't think it's an overly concerning game for the Nuggets at all. The other thing, just in general, with this Warriors season so far, I've watched both their games. I did have them a little bit lower when I did my standings predictions, and I kind of regret that immediately. Just because this Steph and Jimmy pairing is absurd. It was never really about that. It was just kind of the collective age. It's like, are they really going to be able to get through an 82 game season? I feel a little bit more confident saying that now. Obviously, it's 2 games in, so don't want to overreact too much, but they look really, really good. And I'm not shocked at all that Steph Curry is still playing basketball at like a top 5 level in the world. He's just a truly incredible player. And yeah, I can never get tired of watching that guy, especially the way he shoots. Just, yeah, truly insane. Another big takeaway that I think needs to be mentioned with the Warriors this season so far is just Jonathan Kuminga. He's looked really good. Obviously, there's like that contract dispute that went on the entire offseason pretty much. But yeah, he's looked really comfortable in his role. This is probably like the best I've seen him look in his 5 year career with the Warriors. I know it's just 2 games, but he seems to be buying into a little bit of a lesser role, playing defense at a high level. The basketball IQ stuff looks really good, and he's just, yeah, buying into the role that the Warriors have always wanted him to. So maybe after all this, it finally has gotten worked out, and he has a long time home in Golden State. Who knows? There's obviously been tension there with him and Kerr, but just Kerr trusting him. He's been in the starting lineup. He's closed games for them. I feel like it's a really positive sign, not just for Kuminga's career, obviously, but for this Warriors team in general, because that was another thing I was kind of like skeptical of this team and skeptical of this team going into the season. But yeah, regardless, I think this Warriors team is going to be really good, and that was a huge statement win for them against the Nuggets. The last thought I have about that game is like Nikola Jokic didn't play like especially well for his standards. It was kind of a weird game. The Warriors were definitely letting him shoot a lot, which worked out that game. He shot, looking at it right now, 2 for 13 from three. That's just not sustainable, though, at the same time. It was interesting because they were trying to obviously neutralize his elite playmaking by letting him shoot. That game, it did kind of work, and he just kind of had an off night offensively. Um, Crazy to say that because he still had a triple double. And that's why he's the best player in the world. Even if he's not having a good game for his standards, he posts a triple double and he has a stat line that makes you go, wait, what? Yeah, but at the same time, I don't think that's like a sustainable strategy against Jokic. I'm not going to sit here and overreact and be like, wow, they solved the Jokic puzzle that nobody's been able to solve for like the last half decade. But yeah, it was interesting. I do think like if you're playing defense that way and Jokic happens to not shoot super well, yeah, that can obviously work. And we saw that last night. The Warriors have just a super versatile defense. They don't have like a ton of front court size, but I mean, Draymond Green is genuinely one of the best defensive players I've ever seen. Maybe the best, honestly. So yeah, I mean, it worked nicely. I just don't think it's something we can say is a blueprint to stopping Jokic because he shot like 40% from three last year, And more often than not, when you do that, that strategy's just not going to work out because he's an all-time great player and he is a very high-level shooter despite just having an off night. I just think it was like a one-off kind of game. But yeah, if somehow Jokic takes a massive step back as a shooter, maybe. But yeah, I'm not expecting that. I think that would be kind of a crazy overreaction to say. But definitely interesting from a strategic standpoint. The other takeaway I guess I have with the Nuggets is Jamal Murray looked very comfortable. It was kind of questionable. He has that injury history. He didn't have like a exceptional season by his standards last year. But he looked really nice, both as a scorer and playmaker. And yeah, just having those two guys next to Jokic, I think is going to be massive for this Nuggets team, along with truly the deepest team of the Jokic era. I think this team is still clearly one of the 2 or 3 favorites to win an NBA championship. And as I said before, they're still my pick. Not gonna ditch them after one game. In fact, even though they lost, I feel even better about them. Just seeing the way Gordon played. Valanciunas played pretty solid, and it was nice to see, like, he didn't play a ton, but just having that guy who can soak up like 12 to 15 minutes and, keep the Nuggets afloat while Jokic is off the court is going to be huge. Bruce Brown, solid game. Tim Hardaway Jr., solid. Cam Johnson, he didn't do much, but that was literally one game, and I'm very confident in his fit long term. So yeah, super interesting game, a lot of fun. But before that, we actually had another double overtime game, the Thunder's second double overtime game of the season. I'll start with the Pacers side of things because we talked about the Thunder side when we talked Thunder Rockets. That's going to be the first game we talked about. So I'm not going to spend too much time on the Thunder because we did talk about them a lot in the show with Charlie. But the Pacers, yeah, it was really, really interesting. I was very curious to see how this team looked without Halliburton. And honestly, they looked better than I thought on offense. I thought they were going to sort of have a difficult time maintaining just that style of play they played with. But yeah, Rick Carlisle, he's truly one of the best coaches in the league. And it felt like that Pacers offense didn't really miss a beat that much. As crazy as that sounds, they're obviously gonna miss Halliburton at various points throughout the season. But yeah, the offense still looks super fluid. I just love the way they play offense. Honestly, the Nuggets, Warriors, and Pacers, coincidentally, are probably my 3 favorite offenses to watch in the league. And yeah, it was just super fun. Benedict Mathurin, absolutely monster game. Probably shouldn't have fouled out there at the end. What are you gonna do? I don't want to talk about the refs. But just yeah, absurd game. 36 points. Yeah, just attacking with incredible force. And it was cool just to see him rock out. We know what he can bring as a scorer, but he's always sort of been relegated into that 6-man energy role on loaded Pacers teams in the past. But yeah, super excited to see what he can do for the rest of the season because he's an incredible scorer and just a total firecracker. Pascal Siakam, they were running a lot through him, and yeah, he performed well. Shocker. He's, yeah, truly, I still think, even after the finals run, one of the more underrated players in the league. And yeah, he's just incredible. Really good defense too. He just brings so much to the table. And I was impressed with him as well. And I am confident that between Siakam, their collective depth, and Carlisle, I'm confident this team can have a really, really high level offense. And then I do have to mention that Andrew Nembhard left the game with the injury, only played 15 minutes or so. And that's the other part. I was if this Pacers team is going to have a competent offense, it's probably going to be with Nembhard taking on a bigger role. Obviously, I think that's going to be the case for most of the season. However, he goes down with an injury, and the Pacers are still finding a way to produce at a high level offensively, and that's just super impressive. I think that speaks volumes not just to Carlisle, but just to everyone else on the team, and just, that next man up mentality is just cool to watch with this Pacers team. Ben Shepherd had a really, really nice game. He's a guy I've been high on. I think he's going to have a monster season. And yeah, he closed the game for them, played big minutes, stepped up. They also didn't have TJ McConnell, I should throw in. So they were really operating without a traditional point guard. And they were finding ways to make it work against an elite Thunder defense. And that's something that's always, just dating back to the finals, really impressed me with this Pacers squad is it doesn't matter what defense they're going up against. The Thunder defense is legit one of the best defenses we've ever seen. And the Pacers find a way to make it work. So yeah. Super excited to watch the Pacers throughout the season. I'll get a good look at them Sunday night when they play the Timberwolves. Should be a super interesting game there. The Thunder side of things, like I said, we talk about them at the top of the show, so I don't want to spend a ton of time. Shea was awesome, as always. 55-point game. It's also just crazy they went to 2 straight double overtimes. I don't think that's ever happened. I think they said that in the broadcast, but just, yeah, truly absurd. Yeah, I mean, I mean, what can you not say about Shea? But he's just so dependable in the clutch, I guess. Is one like thing that like watching these last two games, I was just totally reminded of. Yeah, just the mid range jumper in the clutch is just such a go to. Finishing at the rim is totally there. Other than him, Aaron Wiggins played a really nice game. Came alive, hit some big shots for them. He's a fun player to watch, and similar to the Pacers, they weren't dealing with as key of injuries. But Jalen Williams was out, Keeson Wallace was out, and they just had guys that could step up. Another guy I have to highlight real quick is AJ Mitchell, who was a second round pick last year, I believe, and he's just been incredible. Even last year, in the minutes he did receive, he was really stellar, and this was definitely the best game of his career so far. He notched 26 points en route to that Thunder win in overtime, and his rim finishing is just, yeah, absolutely insane. And yeah, I mean, just a smart decision maker, and the Thunder just truly did it again. Another thing that really just stands out to like me with both these teams is how quick both these coaches are to give young players opportunities. I think it's just so cool. You look at Taylor Peter on the Pacers, and then Brooks Braunhauser on the Thunder. Both guys got in the game within like the first quarter. Both guys are second round picks of this past draft class, and it's just so cool. I think it's good for player development. Just put them into situations, especially when you're dealing with like injuries and stuff. I don't see why not. And both these teams really like to go deep. I think more teams should sort of follow that. I like to see it, honestly. I mean, I just think it's good to get players reps early, and see what they can do. Help them work through some of the that adjustment period to the NBA. And I think it really benefits them long term. And I mean, AJ Mitchell's a perfect example of the Thunder doing this last year. Aaron Wiggins is an example from a few years back. And yeah, I mean, it's really cool, and I feel like this is why those two teams are like two of the best organizations in basketball. I will say I forgot to mention with the Pacers. I'm gonna close with this before we get into my conversation with Charlie. Yeah, the big man rotation is going to be a real issue. I wasn't overly impressed with any of them. I think this was a big concern headed into the season. But yeah, Tony Bradley 10 minutes, Jay Huff 12 minutes, Isaiah Jackson 8 minutes. So they were mostly operating with like a small ball lineup, which is fine, and it actually worked really well against a pretty big Thunder team. But yeah, I think that's a concern that has to be mentioned with this team throughout the season. It's going to be like, can the center rotation hold up, regardless of how good the offense is and really how good their defense is as well, because they pressure like nobody in the league. And it doesn't matter if Andrew Nemhard leaves the game with an injury, Aaron Nesmith fouled out. Those are typically their two best on ball guys. But then, you have Ben Shepherd, who's going to come in. He's going to pressure the ball. Mathurin can pressure the ball. It's really cool to see. And yeah, I mean, that finals rematch, honestly, I was headed into it being like, I don't know, I feel like the Thunder are going to sort of beat up on this like undermanned Pacers team, and that was not the case at all. Proves once and for all, again, you can't count the Pacers out. But yeah, that was just really cool to see. And just, yeah, I mean, I'm just so happy basketball's back. I'll leave it at that before I get into my conversation with Charlie. But it's really awesome, and the first three nights have just not disappointed at all. There's been so many incredible games, and yeah, I mean, I'm uploading this on Friday. I'm sure a bunch of Friday night games are going to be insane, and I'm gonna be pissed that I wasn't able to talk about them on here. But yeah, without any further ado, let's get into my conversation with Charlie. All right, joining the show now is Charlie Bischoff to discuss the opening week of the NBA. How you doing today?
I'm doing good, Eamon. How you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, appreciate you hopping back on the show. Should be a ton of fun. So I think we got to start off with the Thunder Rockets. Even though the game was 2 days ago at this point, it's still the high point of the season so far. Double overtime thriller. But yeah, what was your biggest takeaway from that game?
From that game, I mean, Reed Shepard is weird. I don't understand him. That's my biggest takeaway. I don't know what his role is because sometimes he runs the floor, sometimes Eamon Thompson runs the floor, and the indecisiveness might hurt them, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I wasn't expected to start with Reed Shepard there, but I think it's a good point, and that was definitely something that stood out to me watching the game. I mean, his decision making was just really terrible. He wasn't trying to get his teammates involved a bunch. He was just kind of taking stupid shots, and that's not what the Rockets need. With Fred VanVleet out, obviously a tough matchup against that OKC defense. But I would have hoped to see a little bit more offensively, and then defensively. I mean, he's 6'2". He's gonna get picked on. But yeah, they were just abusing him every single time. I think other than Reed Shepard, I mean, Alperen Şengün and Thompson looked like they took massive leaps, which was something that really stood out to me this game. Şengün especially, just the shot making and the outside shooting was absurd, and then Thompson just looked a lot more aggressive. So if they're able to get more out of those guys than last year, and last year they were already a 2 seed with them being probably their best two players, and then you throw Kevin Durant in the mix, I mean, this team is just obviously one of the best teams in the West and just clear title contenders.
I couldn't agree more, and that's exactly why I'm going to bring this right back to Reed Shepard because why does he hold the ball so long? You have Kevin Durant, you have Eamon Thompson. These guys are setting screens for you, and he just gives them the ball, runs into like a shooter's position, and just pulls. And it's cool, like you can do that, but against the Thunder, you got to swing the rock, and you got so many options. Swing the rock, dude.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, that's definitely like a massive story with this team this year. I mean, once Van Vliet went out with injury, it's like Reed Shepard is going to have to play some sort of role with this team. And one game in, I was not impressed at all. And yeah, like you said, I mean, he's just going to get guys more involved. And I mean, I respect the confidence. I think that's better than a guy having zero confidence and being scared to shoot. But at the same time, you sort of have to read your room and like know your place. I could potentially see his minutes being reduced, given some more minutes to Aaron Holiday. He's just a little more trustworthy at this point in his career. But other than that, big picture wise, I do think they need to trade for a point guard. Going into the season, I think that was already kind of clear. But after watching them play a little bit and just seeing some nice progression from Şengün and Thompson, I don't even think it has to be like an all-star level like Kobe White type point guard, which was a name I always sort of thought made sense. He's on a cheaper deal, so attainable target there. But I mean, even just a guy that can eat up like a nice like 20 minutes per game and just set up other guys, I think would be really valuable to them. So there any point guards around the league that you think would be a nice fit there in Houston?
That's a good question. That's a good question. Kobe White sounds really cool. They have Ayo on the bench, kind of coming off the bench. Another good option before they have to pay him because they've already paid Kobe, right?
No, he's a free agent next year, which is
He's a free
another
agent.
reason why, yeah.
Oh my God, how do you let that happen? To be honest,
Bulls, bro.
yeah, he's got to get paid. First of all, if he doesn't get paid, you capitalize on that for sure. I don't know any specific guys. I mean, Anthony Simons, I got to get him off the Celtics. That'd be sweet. We've been trying to get rid of him since we got him, and at this point, just do it. But yeah, I'm thinking about the Heat, and they got Davion Mitchell. He's going to be their starting guy, in my opinion. He should be. And if the Heat can find Davion Mitchell and make it work, I think that the Rockets can find someone in this league.
Yeah, there's always guys around the league that you just don't expect to pop. And I mean, even a guy like, I mean, we don't want to say it, we're big fans of him, but JD Davidson's just sitting right there at the bench. And you
Yeah,
never know, he could
dude.
have a surprise role with this team. It's kind of funny because thinking about it, keep going back to the Bulls because they have like three guys that I think would be a really nice fit on this team. I, like you mentioned, talked about Kobe White a little bit, but then like just Trey Jones, just a pure table setter, smart decision maker, a guy that can set others up. And then his brother Tyus Jones of the Magic. I think they're probably less likely to trade him. But if like Anthony Black or Jace Richardson has a monster season, maybe they will. But just like a guy like that, a high IQ guard that can just kind of control the pace and yeah, set others up, make good decisions. I think that's exactly what they need.
Yeah, by the deadline, Tyus is going to be free. He threw up a shitter last night, went like 0 for 6, and they got Anthony Black coming in. That might be a good one. Honestly, that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, definitely worth monitoring with this Rockets team. And then, I mean, another guy that I was thinking could have been a potential nice fit who ended up signing overseas today was Spencer Dinwiddie. I'm just shocked that there's no longer a place in this league for Spencer Dinwiddie. I know he's not like no all star or anything, but he's like a very solid contributor, still good playmaker, nice size. So I was kind of shocked to see that he went. I think he went to a league in Spain or something, but I was very surprised to see that.
Yeah, he'll come back. I mean, he filled in for Kyrie. Was that last year that he filled in
Yeah.
for Kyrie? Yeah, he was incredible. He was incredible as soon as he came in. That's a good option. Yeah, I like
Yeah,
it.
no, for sure. I think we just got to talk a little bit about the defense here from both teams because I mean we're texting during the game and that was something that really stood out to both of us. Just the way both of these teams just swarm around the court, they switch on a lot of things, just so versatile, so disruptive. Yeah, who are some standout defensive players, and then overall, what do you think of just the how difficult it is to match up against either of these teams just based on their defenses?
Yeah, I mean the Rockets are massive. They have Eamon Thompson on defense, and they still choose to put Reed Shepard on Shea Gilgeous. Let's just say that shouldn't ever happen again. I think they've learned. I don't know. I like the whole team. I like the whole Rockets team. Casey Wallace was the most impressive in that game by far. That guy's a lockdown. He's learned a lot from Shea. You can see it. He's going to get consistent minutes. Alex Caruso is it's one game, but it wasn't the same to me. Casey Wallace is better on defense based on that game. He had a better performance. That stood out to me for sure.
Yeah, dude, Cason Wallace is incredible. I think he's ruled out for the game against the Pacers tonight, which really disappoints me because he's such an elite perimeter defender, very disruptive off the ball as well. I will say with Caruso, what stood out to me was he was picking up Şengün a lot of times, and we saw that in the playoffs last year with Jokic, and that really stood out. I mean, he's just so versatile on defense. And I mean, when you look at him, he's still probably what like their third or fourth best defender on the team, which is crazy. And what's even crazier thinking about this Thunder team specifically is they didn't have Jalen Williams, who I would argue is at least their third best defender. I mean, it's tough when you have Lou Dort, Chet Holmgren, Cason Wallace. You have so many guys, but J Dubs is a big part of this team, and it didn't look like they were missing their second best player at all, which is just totally insane. And then yeah, on the Rocket side, I mean Thompson's just so impressive. A guy that can really guard anyone on the perimeter. And yeah, I agree. They really should not have been conceding that switch on Shepard. And even I mean, God, I don't want to slander the guy again, but like just one thing that popped into my mind, a specific play where Lou Dort gets the switch onto Shepard, and I mean Lou Dort, solid spot up shooter, great defender, elite defender. He just abuses Reed Shepard on that play. And I was like, I've never seen Lou Dort create his own shot like that, quite frankly. But yeah, I mean, defensively, both these teams are just so good. And then the Rockets, they were also missing Dorian Finney-Smith, who, when he plays, I think is going to be really massive for this team. I'd like to get your perspective on the double big lineup because I thought for the Rockets, it obviously had some advantages. They were rebounding really well, but I also think there were some downsides to that. So, what was your perspective on the double big
Yeah.
lineup?
I mean, you're playing against the Thunder. They got Chet and Hartenstein. They usually don't put them in at the same time, so you don't necessarily have to go that route. But we saw Ime Udoka do it in the playoffs last year. He had Adams in at the same time as Şengün. I think he's been preparing to move towards this kind of setup. I don't know, why, because to do that you have to have guys swinging around the floor at all times. You got to have Şengün closing out on the perimeter at some points. He's shown he can do it okay, and having mobile bigs is good for that. I think he's kind of just tempted to have a zone. It's a zone switch. It's a switch on all the screens in man coverage where anyone can cover anybody, and I think it's a good play. It's what the Celtics did last year with Chris Stapps and Al Horford. Yeah, I don't know if Steven Adams is the right guy for it, but he definitely brings a lot to the table with electricity.
Yeah, I mean, Steven Adams is a great rebounder, but there was just far too many times where he just, quite frankly, didn't look like he was conditioned enough to do that against, I mean, an incredible OKC offense, keep in mind. But there was just way too many times he was getting blown by. And I mean, when you have two big men on the court, I think the real downside is unless at least one of them is super switchable, you're just putting them in a really tough position because you're asking them to guard the perimeter a lot. Luckily, OKC had a really bad shooting night, which I think makes their win even more impressive. But at the same time, I mean, if guys are knocking shots down from beyond the arc and you're playing against a good offense like that, I just don't think it's like that sustainable. Obviously, I think the Dorian Finney-Smith injury affected it, and just like you said, going up against the Thunder with Chet and Ihart, I don't think that's something we're going to see from them every game. I hope it's not. I mean,
Shouldn't
maybe
be.
mix it in there for like 5 to 10 minutes, but like starting with it, not great. Like to give a shout out to Jabari Smith Jr. though, because I thought he had a pretty solid game, and I feel like his ability to guard the perimeter at times at his size, and then just really a dependable offensive guy. Not the best ball handler or anything, but like he always seems to make the right decisions. Really solid shooter. I liked what I saw from him. Obviously not to the level of like a Şengün, Thompson, or KD, because all three of them were awesome, but just a really nice glue guy for this team.
Yeah, I mean, when you're big, you don't need to add more big to that. Adams doesn't need to see the floor unless Şengün's out. It didn't happen too much, but you don't got to get both of them in there ever. I hope we don't see it again. Yeah.
I don't mind mixing it in, especially like if you're going against the Warriors or Lakers, they're small. Mix it in. Even if you're going up against a bigger team, it makes sense. But I think they went to it far too often, and I do think once Finney Smith returns from injury, we're not going to see that as much. Before we move on to a couple more games, I think we just have to sort of highlight two players that we, or I guess three players that we didn't talk enough about because they just, all three of them had insane games. Chet, Shea, and KD. What did you see from, I mean, all three of those guys? I feel like maybe Shea we don't have to talk about as much because he just won MVP. Yep, he's still awesome. Got it. But yeah, what did you see from Chet and KD in this game?
Yeah, I mean, you can't run a massive offense against Shea. He's gonna tear you into pieces, which he did. Chet Holmgren, interesting fella we got here. If he stays healthy, that guy's a winner, and I think I have a lot of respect for him on the court. For some reason, why does he fall every time? He's like a twig, dude. He falls over, and no matter like anything happens, he'll fall over. And he hits the ground hard. It's not like a flop. He gets knocked down hard. I respect the grit. And I'm impressed by him going against Şengün because Şengün is heavy, and he's strong and he's a great defender. So honestly, just overall, very impressed with Chet. I missed the third guy there, but those are the two that stuck out most, obviously, with the
Yeah,
Thunder.
no,
Who
for
was the
sure. Oh, it was KD for the Rockets, so we can talk about him in a
Ed?
second. But I thought he looked good. A little bit of a slow start. But yeah, Chet really got off to a hot start, and he was helping that OKC offense stay afloat. Whereas Shea got off to a little bit of a slower start, and then really in the fourth quarter and the overtimes, he just kind of took over, and he looked like the MVP that we know. But it makes sense struggling early against Thompson. Once Thompson left the game with that like injury or cramp in whatever he had, Shea just took over, which makes sense. That's what you kind of expect from the MVP. But yeah, Chet, I was definitely impressed with him. He still looks like he weighs as much as I do, which is fine. I mean, he's like a gangly 7'2" setter, so I think he's always gonna look kind of skinny. But I was impressed. I think he used a little bit more power. That's something I feel like I've been looking for from his game. He's just always kind of been like the guy that will like take threes, which is totally cool for a 7 footer, and that's nice to have in your bag. But I always look for these 7 footers. We'll talk about this with Wemby as well. Just operate around the rim. I mean, you're taller than like damn near everyone around the court. So I that's what I like from Chet. He was cutting really well. I think the first points he had in the game, it was like his second points, whatever. He had like 11 out of 13. Nice backdoor cut. So yeah, aggressive, getting towards the basket a little bit more. Super impressive. And if he can stay healthy, take a leap offensively in his third like real season in the NBA. I think this is the guy that could potentially make an All NBA team, and I mean it's crazy because he's already an NBA champion and he was a key part to that team, but he's not even close to his ceiling, and I think this game really highlighted that for me again. And then KD, I feel like he got off to a little bit of a slow start, and I mean Şengün was the big story for this team. A lot was running through Şengün and Thompson, but what just stood out to me and what I always love about KD is he can just literally fit in with any team. It doesn't matter. His shooting's always going to be valuable, and he just never takes away from anything. He's just purely additive, and I don't think I've watched KD like pretty much my entire life watching basketball. I literally don't think I've ever seen this man take a bad shot. Obviously, I've seen
Yeah.
him miss. Like everyone misses, but he is just surgical operating. He just finds his shots in the mid range. He came alive in that second quarter. But yeah, he's just watching him operate's always a ton of fun. And I think, I mean, I would have liked to see the Rockets go to him in the clutch a little bit more. I mean, Şengün was killing it, so no complaints there. But I think throughout the season, we'll see that develop a little bit more, and he'll be their like true closer, which is really what he excels at.
Right, they started with like no threes, and Katie basically just threw his hand out and said like, "Give me the ball in the mid range and let me shoot like three of them." And he made them like all. He made like three mid ranges in like a couple minutes in the second quarter. And that's the best part about him is you're never out of a game when you have KD on the team. He's very reliable, so a lot of respect. And then he
Yeah,
fouled
no,
that, and he was pissed. He fouled that. He was so mad, dude. That's his game. He's on the Rockets, the rival with his old team, the Thunder. Yeah,
that
and
was
then having him in
crazy.
the clutch would have been sick instead of Jabari Smith taking the fadeaway on the baseline. Have you ever shot that shot? Like, I don't
That
think
was a
so.
rough one. Dude, there was some email like sideline out of bounds that's just like, dude, what? Like just don't overthink it. I'm sure we'll talk about that with the Celtics in a second, but like
Oh yeah.
just I
Oh
don't
yeah.
get some of these sideline out of bounds plays end a game. Nice to see that it doesn't just happen with the Celtics though, I guess. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I think we really hit on everything. KD just he looks like an awesome fit, and I can't wait to see him on a competitive team again because the last couple of years with the Suns, it's been kind of rough, especially last year, watching him on that just atrocious Suns team. This team just fits him so much better. And yeah, KD's just a player. I mean, especially as he's getting older, I just can't take him for granted. He's just a really, really special player. But yeah, let's talk about the Celtics game. What did you make of the new look Celtics? We'll talk about the Sixers in a bit, but yeah, I mean we're both Celtics fans. I think we gotta spend some real time here on the Celtics.
Yeah, so I got notes on this because
Let's
I was
go.
watching the game. The first thing I wrote down, I wrote, "What is this strategy?" And then I realized it's the same one that we had with Drew Holiday and Kristaps and Al Horford. That makes no sense. That's really the first takeaway. I want you to respond to that because I'm still baffled that we didn't change. We didn't change anything on the defense. It looks the same and it's weak.
Yeah, I think
It's
it's
hard.
it's tough because you're not going to be able to switch as much with the current personnel they have. Unfortunately, I feel like in the preseason they were just like roaming around a little bit more. The rotations look better. It's
Yeah,
preseason, so you kind of have to like take it with a grain of salt. But I was kind of like, okay, I'm a little bit like cautiously optimistic about the defense. They just seem to be doing a little bit differently. I mean, they were still switching, but they were bringing more doubles, a little bit more ball pressure. And I think like you just sort of have to lean into that with this team. You just have to like go all out on effort. But yeah, I mean, running a switch heavy scheme, I think it makes a lot of sense. But if you're gonna do that, you really, really can't do that with the double bigs. I hated the double bigs in the first half. Honestly, they went away from it in the second half, which I was thrilled with. After Garza he got that concussion, unfortunately.
yeah,
But like,
thrilled by that.
no, 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 that was unfortunate. I feel bad for Garza, but it's
He
like,
was,
oh,
yeah, yeah. I feel bad. No hate. He was terrible in 6 minutes. He proved how bad he was. But you know what? I can't wait to see him again.
I mean, having it's the Celtics are asking a lot from Jaylen Brown and Derek White on both ends of the floor this season. A lot. Because when you have two, let's just below average and maybe even like kind of, let's just say below average. Let's leave it at that. Perimeter
Hello.
defenders and yeah, Pritchard and Simons who are on the smaller side. I actually kind of happy with how Simons played on defense. He had a couple nice plays. He had that like jump ball there. So he had some nice plays. He doesn't look like the league's worst defender like he was in Portland the last couple of years, which has just been my expectation for him since being traded. But he's a guy that defense or offenses are always going to target. And then you pair that with Pritchard, another small guy who again offenses are always going to target. And you don't have any rim protection. It's just a tough recipe. And yeah, I don't see a world where this defense isn't bottom 10 in the league, no matter
It
what
can't
Mazzulla
stick.
does.
Yeah, it can't stick like this. I like, now that we think about Simons and Pritchard, it's a good scheme for them because really what they have to do is they have to get to the perimeter and they have to get a hand up. And then they get the hand up and the guy goes by him. You have to make contact on him when he goes by you. And then if you don't make contact on him, Neemias Queta is 4 steps away from being in the paint to get there. And he's not fast. He can't get there. And you have to make contact. The contact you're going to make is like 6'1", like 180 pounds. So it's really not going to do much. I don't know the solution. Josh Minott might be the solution,
Yeah,
but
I agree. Dude, why not? 14 minutes. I mean, yeah, you look at it, yeah, I got like two points, whatever, who cares? I mean, the defense is where he really excels, and I would like to see just a little bit more minutes. Go away from the double bigs. I mean, you not completely, maybe run it like a maximum like 10 minutes a game. But yeah, I feel like when you have two targets on the perimeter at times and then two targets in the interior as well, it's just brutal. Tillman, low key, pretty nice game. I was impressed. It looked like kind of a bounce back game from him after just an awful season last year. And then Chris Boucher, I thought he could have played a little bit more. He's always sort of been my favorite big man in this group just because he is a little bit more switchable and, he can shoot the three ball a little bit more, which leans into that scheme. I think he has just a better feel for the game than Keita. Quite frankly, Keita's more athletically gifted. He has more size. But yeah, I kind of would like to see Boucher play a little bit more. Tillman was kind of impressive, so I get going to him. But yeah, going forward, I would expect Boucher to play a little bit of a bigger role personally.
he should. He should. He's relatively old, which is kind of surprising to think about, but and Tillman's surprisingly young, which is also odd. But I like them both, like two guys I don't want to see leave this roster for injury or trade or anything for this year at least. We need them. They're long and athletic, and they're not too slow, so they fit in the scheme. So if the scheme stays the way it is, and Really, every team in the NBA right now is looking for long, athletic guys who can guard multiple positions, like what we've been talking about, even with the Rockets. They fit, they'll fit for now. So it's good to have them. It's good to have them. Kata can't set a screen without getting a foul, and he can't play a game without fouling out. So with regard to the bigs, anyone who won't foul out and won't foul on illegal screens, that's cool. That's really cool. That's just a plus if you're not like Kata in that way. Yeah, he
Yeah,
knows
for
two
sure.
things. He knows two things. He knows alley oop and foul, and that's like it. That's all he got taught.
I mean, yeah, I can't say you're wrong there, honestly. I was gonna bring up Kata just as we're talking about the center rotation, but I mean, it was kind of the complete Kata experience last night. Had some really nice moments. He came alive, especially in the second half there. Lob threat, yeah, totally there. I mean, the Sixers, I will say, zero rim protection, especially. I mean, Embiid played terribly. We'll get to that in a second. But when Embiid was off the court, I mean, yeah, it was great that he was able to, get some of those shots at the rim, but nobody was going against him. And when you're going against, a team with like competent rim protection, I don't know if that's going to be the case every night. And yeah, I mean, just the Kata's a tough one for me because it's like, yeah, I love the idea of Kata. This rim runner, shot blocker type of guy, grabs rebounds, really, really good on the boards. Regardless, sometimes he'll have a few space cadet moments, but what are you gonna do? Um, but like it's just purely theoretical, in my opinion. I think he's like a potential like rotational guy, and I think that's kind of the problem with the Celtics team. They have like three guys that I could see them being in a rotation on like a solid team. I just can't see them as a starting center on a good team. And that's the problem. And yeah, Kate, I agree. It's just like the feel for the game is just not totally there. The screening is nice sometimes, but yeah, he picks up way too many fouls. As a screener, and defensively he's just way too trigger happy, which leads to a lot of fouls. And yeah, I was far from shocked that he fouled out.
He's so trigger happy on defense. I mean, like I don't know if it was VJ or Maxi, but he was probably like a step away from the free throw line, and this guy's going right by him, and he just lays a hand down right on like I think Maxi's arm. And at that point, gather your belongings and get out of here, because you can't do that. It if you're gonna get beat, dude. Just get beat.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, who knows how good the Celtics will be this year? I just think the center rotation's always going to plague them, and I can't imagine Kata being not. I can imagine him playing in a playoff setting. I can't imagine him being a big minutes guy in a playoff setting, and I think that's a concern with this team for sure. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I do think there was some positives. They pushed the pace pretty nicely, in my opinion, and it was fun to watch. Thoroughly entertaining game. And with pushing the pace, I thought they did a nice job of like controlling the ball, for the most part. And yeah, I think this is just a slightly different style. I mean, they're still going to shoot a ton of threes. And honestly, losing by 1 point despite shooting below 30% from three and the incredible nights that Maxi and Edgecombe had, I thought was somewhat encouraging. So I feel like those were sort of like my positive takeaways. I mean, we know what Jalen Brown can do. We know what Derek White can do. Even we know what Peyton Pritchard can do, even though it's kind of a slower night for him. But yeah, I kind of like this like new style of play. I think it just suits this group a little bit.
Yeah, I would say it's very promising. The offense that we saw. The defense obviously needs work. And the only thing that concerns me moving forward here, really the only thing, is the scheme that allows shooters to shoot sometimes. Edgecombe was the guy, basically. Edgecombe was the guy who was left open in this scheme. That was unlucky, in a way. He's incredible, but it was a bad choice, and we let him score like 36 on us. The concern here is you can't do that every game. And we couldn't do it last night. We almost made it, but we couldn't. And then when you see the Knicks, you absolutely can't. You can't do it at all.
Yeah, which we'll get to see tomorrow night. Very interested to see how that plays out. Not expecting a Celtics win. If it happens, great. Just not going into the game expecting that like I did last year. Every time they played the Knicks, obviously they lost in the playoffs, but every time they played the Knicks, I was like, yeah, we're gonna win. I don't think I can expect that this year at all. But yeah, I mean, the defense was really rough, and yeah, they were just. I feel like they were just so sloppy on the rotations. I think that's definitely a big problem, especially in the perimeter. We'll talk about Maxi and Edgecombe in a second. Obviously, they were fantastic. But at the same time, you don't let a rookie in his first game get 34 points if you're playing lockdown defense. And you don't let Tyrese Maxey get 40 points if you're playing lockdown defense. Even like Derek White and Jaylen Brown, who are usually really, really good defenders, I didn't think had the best game on that end of the floor. And I just think the Celtics are asking a lot from them with the personnel they have. Really being their only like two like dependable defenders. So I'm not like totally blaming them. I feel like there was a couple times it's like, yeah, I feel like both of them were like missing rotations that they usually don't miss. And it was just leading to a lot of open shots. At the same time, overall, I feel like this game was like fairly encouraging just based on the point that you didn't play great defense, you didn't shoot well at all, and you still only lost by 1 point. And you had that like awesome third quarter. Before we move on to the Sixers, I think we do have to talk about some of the late game stuff. Because again, it was just another like classic Celtics game. I feel like it's always like first half a lot of the time, and third quarters. They're just so good. They're so good in the first three quarters. Even when they were like a dominant 60 win team, this was a problem. They are great for three quarters, and then maybe not even like the full fourth quarter they're bad. It's just like those last 5 minutes are rough. So yeah, what did you think of the Celtics in the clutch last night?
Well, we let up 42 points in the fourth. So that sucks, and I think that leads to just the realization that D White and JB are overworked through that whole game. The rotation's good, but it was deep, but it was also shallow. It was really shallow because the guys we see get limited minutes, and JB and Derek White carry the load the whole game, and then they do miss rotations. They miss rotations, or they turn it over, and the fast break kills us. That really did us in the fourth. It was good to see the good old Celtics third quarter performance, and then we saw the good old Celtics fourth quarter performance.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, yeah, just looking at the minutes, I mean, it is just this just can't happen throughout the season. You can't have three of your starters play 35 plus minutes. I would really like to see the Celtics. It doesn't matter who it is. I think we talked about Minot getting a bigger role, but like
Baylor Shireman,
Baylor, like I mean,
where is
I
this
was like
guy?
Ugo, Jordan Walsh. Even I mean, I'm not the
Yeah,
biggest Jordan Walsh guy, but
why
like
not
one
though?
of those three guys has got to play. Especially just with the personnel the Celtics have this year. They just have to. They have to play some. I they did go fairly deep into the bench, like you said, but I was low key thinking he was gonna go a little deeper. It looked like he was gonna check Ugo in, like
Yeah,
in the fourth quarter.
he like pulled him back
Didn't
out
end
of
up
no.
happening.
Yeah,
I'd never seen that one. But yeah, the fourth quarter stuff was kind of rough. The offense, it was just like kind of collapsed at the end, as it seems to. And then yeah, like you said, I mean the defense was a little rough, missing the rotations. Just the last two plays there, just always is gonna stick in my head. Obviously, it's like the end of the game, but I don't know how you give it to Pritchard twice. The first play, I kind of get it. Yep, White was inbounding the ball. He needed to get the ball in. It ends up with Pritchard. That's fine. He had a nice shot. He missed it. The second play was very clearly drawn up for Pritchard, which I don't totally love. Brown was totally not involved. They could have potentially gone to White, I guess, but like Brown was like used as like a screener in that play. It's like, yeah, Brown's your best player. He's statistically been super good in the clutch throughout his career. Give it to Brown. I don't get it. Just overthinking it a little bit. I mean, there's a world where Pritchard hits one of those two shots and we're not having the same conversation. So maybe it's just like, hindsight's 2020 or whatever. But I just would prefer the ball to end up in my best player's hands, especially because the Sixers, I mean, Kelly Oubre, Quentin Grimes, these aren't like lockdown defenders by any means. It's not like they're going up against, Herb Jones or Lou Dort. Like,
yeah.
you know, give
I
it to
mean, JB,
Jalen, give it to D White. I don't get it.
JB was hitting those shots all game. He was in the mid range. He probably would have made one of those two. That's easy to say now, but I mean, Missoula after the game, he said that the plan was get it in the playmaker's hand, and I think sometimes recently today that did you tell him anything other than that? Did you say give it to Pritchard and he's gonna make something happen, or did you say this is the play? Here are your options. If they're not open, you're going to make something happen. And I think that it was the former where he just said, give it to the playmaker and something will happen. That's not, you can't do that. You got to give him something. You got to give him something because otherwise he is going to throw up a pump fake three, step in, pump fake a midi, and then just try to throw up a floater that misses. And lucky that it went off Oubre for a second chance to see us shit our pants. So that's how I feel about it. I don't know. It's got to go to JB, and there was it didn't seem like there was anything drawn up to get it there.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, the first play maybe a little bit. It was kind of a weird play, it was like a bunch play, like way back near half court. That was kind of interesting. The second play I just kind of hated because it looked like it was totally drawn up for Pritchard and White was just off the ball, and
The
that makes no
baseline,
sense.
it
Yeah,
was a baseline, but he was behind like the backboard. I don't know how that ends up there.
yeah,
It
not
was like was that it looked like the first look too, and you're welcome to pass that up if you're the inbounder. Who I don't know who it was, but pass it up.
yeah. No, I definitely agree. Hopefully that gets fixed, but at the same time, even when they were super good and this absolute juggernaut of a team, clutch time play always concerned me. But yeah, I mean, Missoula overall, I think he's a really good coach. The guys love him, which I think is in the NBA. I think that's the most important thing. He has some super creative schemes. I have no problem with like the Missoula ball, getting threes. I think it all makes sense. It's just like, fuck, man, like the clutch time play, like every year it seems to be an issue for these guys. Maybe this doesn't age well and they have some crazy moments in the clutch this season, but yeah, I'm
It'll
not
probably be in the
really
hands of
optimistic.
JB though.
I
That'll
hope so.
probably it'll if it happens. I think it is gonna be that guy.
I hope so, man. I mean, like Pritchard, he's a great player. Six man of the year last year, obviously, but like, it wasn't even his night. Like, if he's having like an
Right.
absolute heater, he has 30 points. Okay, I get drawn up to play for him. Do it one time, maybe I guess, but yep, two times, not cool with that.
And I'm sure like Pritchard wants that, but as a first game of the season, running it with a player, Jalen Brown, who's an incredible scorer, and he's going to be our number one scorer for the rest of the season. 100% is. And he's going to be the guy in clutch time for the rest of the season. It's the first game. Why not give him a fadeaway? I don't care what it is. Just give him something. It's the start of the year. It's the easy decision.
Yeah, no, 100%. They just seem to, you know, outsmart themselves all the time. Now, what are you gonna do? But yeah, Jalen Brown, I just trust him so much more to create his own shot. I think we gotta move ahead to the Sixers unless you have any other points because I mean this
I don't want
Sixers
to talk
team
about
is
the Sixers, but we'll do it.
bro. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm like I picked the Sixers to like finish pretty low. Usually don't even enjoy watching them like that, even when they're good. I think this is gonna be the Sixers team that I enjoy watching the most in recent memory. Honestly, just because of really, I mean, Edgecombe and Maxi, they're just so fun. We can get to the Embiid piece of it later, but yeah, what stood out from those guys in this game? Obviously, just dominant performance, but yeah,
Edgecombe has some incredible decision making for a kid who's like 19 or 20 years old. Um, he started, which is awesome. I'm very impressed. He was great in college. He was a great defender in college. And he starts with his career in the league with 34, 36 points, something like that. Yeah, unreal. That'll be great. That'll be incredible. I'm excited for him. I love him.
yeah, no, 100%. I mean, going into the draft, he was like very clearly a top five guy to me. I didn't think the fit in like Philly was totally ideal, and I was like, damn, like I just want to go see him like rock out somewhere. I always kind of thought Charlotte would be fun. Kind of complements Lamelo nicely. Ultimately, obviously ends up in Philly. And going into the season, I was like, yeah, I mean, he's obviously super talented. I really like his game on both ends of the floor. But it's like, is this team gonna run through like Joel Embiid? Still, obviously, the injury concerns, and then just like the backcourt that they have, him, Maxi, McCain when he's healthy, Quentin Grimes. I was like, yeah, I just don't know like how much opportunity he's gonna have. But the offense really ran through VJ and Maxi last night, which was just a ton of fun to watch. I mean, they complement each other really nicely. Obviously, Edgecombe brings a little bit more size. Maxi's that like traditional point guard type of guy, but just like absolute insane athletes, great speed. I mean, just a ton of fun to watch. And the shooting looked really nice, which was kind of a concern for him heading into the draft. He didn't shoot like super efficiently, but getting up 13 threes and he looked very comfortable shooting them is a massive positive. And yeah, I mean, he's an elite finisher too, just an absurd athlete. I mean, I don't want to set expectations for him after this one game, but the guy he always reminded me of was Anthony Edwards. I think that's like his ceiling level of player. Obviously, it's is he going to be a top five guy in the league someday? Maybe. I just think that's his ceiling, and I see a lot of Ant in his game. Maxi, it was fun to have him back too. I've always liked Maxi. And he was just, yeah, absolutely electric. Really reminded everyone, like, when he's playing, he's like a borderline, like, all NBA caliber guy after a down season last year and then dealing with injuries at the end. But yeah, he was fantastic as well.
Certainly, yeah. And it's really cool that they have the chemistry right away. I mean, that takes a little bit of time to build, and they have a promising start to that teammateship.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's a great point about the chemistry. Also excited to see when McCain returns, how he fits into that, because in like the 20 or so games he played as a rookie, he was
It's
absolutely
nuts.
awesome, and the shooting should be really nice. Long term, I don't know how that core fits together, just because, I mean, none of them have like elite positional size, but it's going to be a lot of fun to watch, regardless of how good this Sixers team is. I mean, I don't want to shit on the guy too much, but we definitely do have to talk about Joel Embiid, because he just didn't look like himself. One for
Just
nine.
sad.
Again, yeah, I mean, he really looked like a shell of himself after last year. Again, looking kind of like a shell of himself. I just think, unfortunately, that he's just had too many lower body injuries. I mean, 3 years ago, this guy was the MVP of the league, and he was just an absurdly dominant player. But yeah, when you're that size and you get a little bit older and you deal with so many injuries, it's just tough. And yeah, who knows? I mean, first game back in a while, he played one preseason game against the Timberwolves backup guys, so I wouldn't put much stock into that. But yeah, I didn't look promising at all. And I mean, injury concerns, I'm just always gonna be like terrified for him because he's just so injury prone.
I'm afraid he's got like 2 years left based on last night only. But I don't know. That's Neemias Queta, and he tiptoed around him. Usually he'd be going like, you know, backing into him and just dunking on him. So I don't know. He missed all the threes that he took. It looked like. I think he missed every single one. And yeah, I'm concerned about his lower back. That's what it is, right?
It's knee.
It's his knees. I don't
Yeah,
know.
Yeah, I think he had some back then, but it was like the big ass knee surgery
Yeah,
that
that's
they
bad.
got in April. Yeah, it's a rough sign for him, man. I mean, I'd like to see him healthy. I just don't think it's ever really going to happen, unfortunately. I think it was also kind of interesting how the Sixers managed his minutes. It was well discussed before. He was on a minutes restriction, but they don't play him in the fourth quarter, and they end up coming back in the fourth quarter,
Yeah.
obviously.
And they played him a good amount in the start of the game. So it wasn't like a real minutes restriction. It wasn't like, okay, here's some 6 minutes and then you come out. It was like, here's 80% of the first two quarters, and then all of a sudden he kind of disappeared.
Yeah, and they did. I mean, unfortunately, or yeah, whatever. They looked better without him on the court. So yeah, kind of a concerning sign for him. Who knows how much he plays? But yeah, overall, I think my big takeaway was I might watch more Sixers games than I was thinking. Because last year I absolutely hated watching that team. Obviously, they were riddled with injuries, so it's not. I mean, I'm sure Sixers fans hated watching that team too. But yeah, there's real excitement with this team, regardless of if they're going to be a playoff team or not. And even with the Celtics too, I feel like it doesn't matter really. I mean, it does in some ways, but like, I don't care how many games this team wins. I'm going to be excited to watch them throughout the year. Any closing thoughts before we move ahead to the Wemby flag matchup?
I liked the starting lineup. It was very creative of the Sixers. And
Dominic Barlow.
it worked out. It worked out for them. He's a good piece. I'm a little bit surprised. So
Dominic Barlow was actually really good. Yeah, shout out to him, man. He was really good.
he's more athletic than any of our healthy bigs right now. So
He was really good. That was a nice pickup. Um, yeah, I think we can move on to Spurs-Mavs because that was, I mean, holy shit, Wemby.
kind of wild. I don't know. I you look at the Mavericks and you think this team could be a 5 seed, and then maybe they're a 11 seed. Um, Last night they looked like an 11 seed. Unfortunately, I just I don't like Cooper Flag at point guard, but I think it makes sense if you're trying to treat him like Giannis was, where it's like get this guy floor running experience. It makes me like the whole last night, all of it made me feel like the Mavs are just not serious this year, though. I don't know. How do you feel about that, though?
Yeah, no, I mean, I definitely agree with that. And that was a team I was a little bit lower on. I had them as my nine seed in the West. But yeah, totally agree with you. Wide range of outcomes. They could be above the plane. They could be maybe even missing out on the plane. I mean, especially with the Anthony Davis injury concerns. I think that's always something that needs to be mentioned. But yeah, my big thing was always this team doesn't have enough perimeter creation. It's going to be a problem. Cooper Flag, special player, goes without saying, number one pick. But I don't want him. in a situation where he has to be the lead ball handler as a rookie. I just
It's,
don't
it's so
totally like
he's
that. Yeah,
18. He's 18 years old.
I don't like that, man. I mean, he should still be in college age wise. He reclassified. I don't know if there's a better option at the same time. I definitely agree with you about the Giannis point. I mean, kid coached the Bucks early in Giannis's career, and he sort of did a similar thing. I think long term wise, it could benefit him. Another comparison I'd sort of make in a different way. It's a little bit different, but like the Spurs, Wemby's rookie year when they just didn't have a point guard and they just let Shohei run the show. It's kind of like, this might not be great for Wemby early on, but he's gonna learn how to overcome adversity, and it's ultimately in the long run gonna make him a better player. But yeah, it's just it looked kind of rough. I wasn't totally surprised. I don't know if they have a better option though, because D'Angelo Russell, I mean, he's a guy that I've just never been that big of a fan of, and he's kind of declining still. He shot 1 for 6 last night, and yeah, I mean, he's just like not a great decision maker. So I kind of get it. I don't know why they didn't just like sign another guard. Like, I mean, there's so many guards that were just like available for free. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I will say Ryan Nemhart, Andrew Nemhart's brother, undrafted guy, really nice game. Really nice game.
Yeah, he's
What I
pretty
saw.
impressive. Me too. Yeah. I like Hardy too. You could get him in there. If you're unserious enough to start Cooper Flag at point guard, you can be unserious enough to play Hardy and play Nemhard in there, run it, run the floor. Cooper's never played. He's never run the floor in his life. He didn't do it in high school. He didn't do it in college. It's a cool experiment. You did it in the preseason a little bit. You don't gotta take it up against the Spurs. It was not gonna work against the Spurs. Like I feel like everyone knew that coming into it. It was not a good play.
Yeah, I mean, super intriguing to watch, but yeah, I mean, especially like it was relatively competitive in the first half. At the end of the second quarter, Spurs opened it up, and then they just completely opened it up in the third quarter. Um, but yeah, it's just not the play. They need Kyrie back. He's probably not going to be back to like All-Star game ish at least. So I think that's a problem with this team overall. Cooper, I was, obviously the offense wasn't totally there. He kind of struggled there, but there was still a lot to like. By the way, I gotta say this: Steph Castle, fantastic defense, fantastic defense, super super fun young player. And yeah, I mean we didn't see Fox play with that group, but I've already convinced myself that that pairing's gonna work because they all kind of bring something different to the table. So super interested to see what it's like when Fox comes back. But yeah, side note, yeah, I mean, obviously he kind of struggled in that like distributor role. Offensively didn't look great, but I was impressed by the defense. And to me, Flag's main selling point has always been that defense. And yeah, I mean, he was just moving around, guarding a ton of different players. And yeah, I think that's where he's gonna really thrive this year. I mean, I think he's gonna average more than like 10 points a game like he put up last night. But like
Yeah.
I think he's gonna be like a 15, 16 point a guy game guy, and then he's gonna rack up some rebounds, some assists, and just really, you know, earn his value with that defensive impact because he's truly a special defensive player and he's surrounded by a really good defensive team.
Right. At the bare bones, he's an athlete too. He ran through that pass at the start of the game. That's a great start. Yeah, he's just explosive and athletic, and nothing can hurt him. Not even Jason Kidd starting him at point guard. It's good to see him get reps. I think it's good to have him in there. He can shot create for himself, so why not make him try? But I don't think the Mavs are serious. And it's hard to be serious when you're playing against Dylan Harper, Stephon Castle, and Wembanyama, who've just put up the most insane highlight tape for a game one ever.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I think we got to talk about Victor Wembanyama. I mean, here's a guy who we've really never seen before. I mean, I know some people, it's a different sport. They like to call Patrick Mahomes an alien. Victor Wembanyama, it's his nickname. He's the true alien. And
Is
just, I mean, otherworldly performance. But yeah, what was your takeaway from the Wemby game there?
I mean, the announcer said it best in the middle of his step back 3-1. The announcer said, "This is like you're 3 years old playing as your dad in the driveway. What are you supposed to do?" And seriously, like that guy he hit a tween behind the back, step back three, foul, and one. Insane. I don't know how he does that. It's weird. The and one, I've never seen an and one up and under like half windmill dunk before. So that was wild. I don't know. There's no solution there. Maybe Gafford would help. Gafford's really good. I'm pretty high on him. It would be nice to have him as a brick wall down there. Lively did not show out. Dwight Powell needs to retire. And AD, he doesn't look great. He played well. I do worry about the injuries. He doesn't look great. He doesn't look super athletic right now either. He looks like Şengün, except old.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, Victor Wembanyama, I think we got to start there. I'll get to the 80 points in a second, but he just does like at least 10 things a game, like not just this game, which was probably one of the best games of his career so far, but like every time I watch him play, I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, how do you do that? How does someone that tall, who apparently grew, which I always kind of thought he was like closer to like 7'6", than his listed height, but it's just incredible. The way he moves with his size, and I mean, right off the bat in the first quarter, he had just like two insane blocks. It's like, how do you get there? Like, it's truly incredible. What really, really stood out to me, though, I mean, the defense has always been there. I think his rookie year, he should have been Defensive Player of the Year. I'll stand by that. If he had stayed healthy last year, he would have ran away with the award. Again, this year, if he stays healthy, he's gonna run away with the award. Truly, like one of the best defensive players we've seen ever. Just incredibly impressive. But what really stood out to me this game was how aggressive he was on offense and how he was just taking it to AD at certain points. And we've always he can shoot threes. That's cool. It's nice to see. He can handle the ball. That's great. But I always wanted him to have that like inside game a little bit. And he was shooting like I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but like close to 50% of his shots last season were from three. And when you're 7'6", 7'5", however tall you are, that doesn't make any sense.
That was kind of
Quite
weird. He was
frankly,
shooting. He
yeah.
was shooting like he was shooting like seven threes a game, and it wasn't necessary. It's cool. It's definitely cool, and it's good to stretch the floor. But I think everyone knows he can shoot now, so utilize that to your advantage and space it out and get in the paint.
Yeah, no, literally. I mean, that's what I've always wanted to see a little bit simplified, even if it's like not him attacking, which there was a ton of him attacking, and it was just awesome to see. But yeah, even like just in the flow of the offense, like, hey, get him some post touches. I know it's 2025. That's not super common now, but you got a guy who's just not common at all. And that's kind of what they did a little bit. They got him some post touches. He was just super aggressive, just really like abusing AD at times. And that's like the craziest part to me about this game is this Mavericks team was like a real test because say what you will about the offense, that interior defense is legit, and they have so many guys that I mean, Victor, you're never gonna really be able to like limit him, or you have to try to limit him. You're never gonna be able to like fully like contain or stop him, but they had no chance despite having one of the best interior defenses in the league, and I just loved how he was taking it to them all game. I thought it was just yeah, truly absurd stuff. And yeah, I mean, this could be truly an MVP level season in his third year, which is just awesome. And I mean, how can you not like watching him? I mean, it's crazy.
It was awesome. It was awesome. I'm as a Maine guy watching Cooper in high school. I feel like it was really fun to see his welcome to the league moment happen immediately, and with Victor Wembanyama. That must be terrifying, and I think it's hilarious. It was a great juxtaposition to what is and what could be, and what both of them will be very soon is terrifying. And yeah, I'm terrified for anyone who has to be in the paint against those guys. But right now, uh, he made Derek Lively look like a child, and Derek Lively is an incredible shot blocker. And he made AD look like Nemus Keita, so that's good. That's I think he's off to a good start. I mean, he was on a decent track to get up there in the MVP rankings last year. He was improving nearly every game. He was putting up 40-point games, which was insane. And he showed us last night, that he's right back where he left off, and now he's he's a monk, and he worked out with Hakeem Olajuwon. So two good things to add.
Yeah, no, seriously. I mean, the monk stuff is dope, obviously, but like you could definitely see that he worked out with Hakeem this summer as well as
Yes,
Kevin Garnett. I feel like that was super evident, and I was very high in the Spurs team coming into the season. I'm not just saying that. I had them as the number 6 team in the conference, and that game definitely validated my beliefs in this Spurs team. And again, they did it without De'Aaron Fox, who's their second best player, which is just crazy. So I think they're only going to get better. Yeah, Wemby's just insane. I'm gonna try to watch as many Spurs games as possible. Will be difficult to do so live because they're probably gonna be on similar times as the T Wolves and Celtics. But even if it's the next day, I'm just gonna try to watch like as much Spurs basketball as possible because this guy's special. Before we move ahead to the Timberwolves Trailblazers, do you have any Steph Castle or Dylan Harper thoughts? Because I thought they were both pretty solid.
that's exactly what I want to talk about, because I think you mentioned this. They can play together. They showed that last night. Bringing Fox and honestly, they're all playing well together. This team is the team to be for the next 4 years. I would trade JB and JT for that three squad of Harper and Castle and Wembanyama, but that's beside the point. Having Pop in the practices, though, I think this is very important. Having Popovich in the practices, very involved with the players involved with him, is so important. You see him at, like sitting at the practices with like three players sitting next to him while the rest are working out. That's huge. Their interim coach is great too. He came up through Pop. I think it's a really promising team, and I'm really enjoying what they're doing with it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, the organization is just so exceptional. And even like from the moment that Wemby got drafted, I mean, it's so cool to see because you don't see it in many organizations, but he's around like Tim Duncan. He's
Yeah,
around Manu
that's right.
Ginobili, David Robinson. I mean, not maybe every day necessarily, but like just I feel I'm a big believer in like just having those positive role models around you, and I think that's huge. And then yeah, I mean Harper I thought was also really solid in his debut game. Just an absurd finisher. The playmaking wasn't totally there, but I think that will get there as the season goes on, and that was definitely one of his selling points as a prospect. Knocked down a three, only shot two, but I feel like if there's one of those like three Spurs guards, because they all can't really shoot, that's like my only potential concern with them that's going to develop as a shooter, it's Harper because he showed flashes of that at Rutgers, and he also just took really difficult shots at Rutgers, so his percentage was a little bit lower than maybe it could have been. And then yeah, Castle's just such an awesome all around player. And he's a guy that like he is a guard. He can be a point guard on a team, but he's also like 6'6". And he has that like win build in some ways where he can just be that like do it all guy, really good playmaker, elite defender already in my opinion. So yeah, I mean the finishing was good, some nice offensive aggression, and he did so efficiently. Which last year he won Rookie of the Year, but I mean people's knock on him was yeah, but he wasn't scoring efficiently, and he changed that. I mean, through one game, he looked really aggressive but efficient. So yeah, super high on those guys, and I can't wait to see this team with Fox.
Yeah, yeah. My final thoughts of that are, if you're not a shooter, you're gonna run five out with Wembanyama, Harrison Barnes, Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell, Castle, Fox, and Harper. If you're not open, someone's cutting. It's really all seven of those guys, seven or eight of them, can shoot and finish above average. It's only up from here for all of their talent. It's incredible.
Absolutely. All right, well, one more thing about the Spurs because I just thought of this. He only played like 15 minutes, but I feel like we just gotta mention our guy Luke Cornett. French
Dude, yeah.
Vanilla, one of the coolest nicknames in the league. Man, I miss Luke Cornett already. But yeah, when I don't know how many minutes they played together, but when those two guys were on the court, I mean, good luck scoring, and there's a real fit there between those guys just based off the fact that Wemby can stretch the floor and just how dominant the defense can be. And Wemby's a guy that can roam around. So that was just super cool to see a good version of double bigs.
Yeah, it is a good version. Yeah, Cornette logged like 16 minutes. He got two blocks and he played his role. It's a good team.
I
He
miss
fits.
Cornett, man. I
I
mean,
I, I never thought I would say that, but yeah, same.
he's just a guy that knows his role and he plays it to perfection. Really, I really came to grow fond of him, especially during that last year in Boston. But French Vanilla, what a fantastic nickname. Area 51, Steph Castle and Victor, another fantastic nickname. I mean, this team truly has it all. The last game we got to talk about, it's going to be the Timberwolves Trailblazers. Honestly, I wasn't expecting to totally talk about this, even though like Timberwolves, I cover them. Obviously, I was gonna watch the game and cover it after and stuff, but I wasn't expecting to necessarily talk about it in the pod. I just didn't know how good of a game it was. But it ended up being a absurd game, especially from Ant dropping 41 points and showing some of those offseason improvements. But yeah, what was your biggest takeaway from this game?
Biggest takeaway would have to be that it was close and Ant had such an insane game that it almost makes me worry about the Timberwolves structure. I don't know. I think I'd like to see DiVincenzo involved more. That's my biggest takeaway from this. He was really, a good part of it. You don't agree? You don't like it? I
No,
think
no,
he's good.
continue.
I think he's a good piece on the Timberwolves, and I think he moves the ball well and handles the ball well too, but it doesn't I don't know. I want to see better playmaking there. I don't like the setup that they have right now, and I don't like when Rudy's on the floor ever.
Definitely valid. I mean, I was kind of expecting this game to be relatively close just because Portland has such a good defense and they're so underrated on that end of the floor. But Man, it was closer than I expected even. And Portland looked like they could have won the game at various points. They were up for most of the game, in fact. And yeah, just that defensive pressure is just absolutely stifling from Portland. They were doing the old Indiana Pacers, picking teams up full court, which is a trend I kind of hope to see a little bit more in the NBA, just because it's fun to watch and you might as well make life difficult. But yeah, I mean, other than we're gonna have to get to Ant in a second because he was just absurd. But yeah, I do agree. There was definitely some moments where I was a little bit concerned about the Timberwolves structure just because they don't have like a true point guard other than 38-year-old Mike Conley, who was relegated to a bench role and ended up only playing like 13 or 15 minutes. So that is a bit of a concern. The playmaking, the decision making is going to be tough. And I feel like it was always going to be kind of tough against this Blazers team. I feel like it's kind of matchup dependent. DiVincenzo, in my opinion, looked horrible. And I don't think that's
Well, yeah,
necessarily his fault.
he got
Six
like 12 minutes.
turnovers. Yeah,
He
he
had
didn't
six
play in
turnovers.
the. He had six turnovers. Yeah, that's why I was
Oh
like,
my god!
yeah. So I mean,
I didn't
DiVincenzo,
catch.
they started him at point. They announced it like I don't know, like 6 hours before the game, whatever. Wasn't like a total shocker because Mike Conley's limited at this stage of his career. But he's just not a point guard. And Chris Finch has openly said, he prefers DiVincenzo off the ball. So I was kind of like, I get it. Better space and better defense. This Blazers team has a ton of size, so it did make sense to start him. But at the same time, it's like I just don't want DiVincenzo handling the ball at all. And I feel like that showed up. He's just a spot up guy, solid connected playmaker, but not a guy you want like initiating your offense. It was mostly like Ant and Randall and even Jaden McDaniels, who I got to talk about in a bit, handling the ball, and then Terrence Shannon Jr., another guy we got to talk about because it did look like to me, and part of it is like matchup dependent. McDaniels and Shannon had easier matchups, but they were the two most comfortable guys initiating offense for the Timberwolves, which in some ways is encouraging. It's just like I don't know how sustainable this whole like point guard by committee thing is, but yeah, I think we gotta kind of bury the lead a little bit. Anthony Edwards was just absolutely absurd. 41 points. The big thing for me was just showing off those mid range improvements that he talked about. Just totally insane. He shot 5 for 7 from the mid range. Last year he shot 37% from the mid range. Not a lot of attempts either. I think it was like 2 point something a game. Playoffs he shot 30% from the mid range. And I think it just opens up everything for Ant and just it looked like he was truly unstoppable. We already saw that a little bit with the 3 point shot, but then it was still that like tiny flaw. It's like, yeah, but you can just try to have him punish you from the mid range, and he wasn't really able to do that throughout his career. But if that's part of his game, I think he's genuinely unstoppable.
It's an amazing thing to have a guy who you can give the ball to and he'll make something happen. What does confuse me about the Timberwolves is that, who's going to support him. I don't think it's Rudy. I think Naz Reid's a fine piece. Jaden McDaniels is huge to have there as well. Terrence Shannon Jr. I like him. It's good to have him in there. Who's going to get him the ball? That is the question. I incline to say it's DiVincenzo because I do like him as a player, but you know, when you think about it, he can't run the floor. I don't know. I guess it's just only good things to say right now for now. Uh, but moving forward, there should be some improvements in who's handling the ball. And for now, it's Ant, and he can do it. So the mid ranges are very impressive. A lot of guys can't get that down, and those are guys who need to, such as Jalen Brown. Jalen Brown's a great scorer, and he had to revert to mid ranges and work on his because it's a better way for him to score. Ant can score anywhere, and he still shoots mid ranges. It's an incredible threat to have.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, when I look at Ant, I feel like this was the next step along with playmaking. He was making solid reads, didn't have a ton of assists, but yeah, nice playmaking. I don't know if he's ever going to be like that lead guard type. I think against the Lakers, I don't think there's going to be any conversation about the point guard play being a problem because the Lakers defense is just abysmal.
Yep.
So I'm looking forward to that one on Friday night. But then they play the Pacers on Sunday, and I feel like that talking point could come up again.
Yeah, that's where
But
it gets
yeah,
tough, man. They're gonna swarm you. They're gonna swarm you on the perimeter.
yeah, they're just going to pick you up full court. It's going to be difficult for them. There was a preseason game between those two teams, and the Timberwolves were challenged by that full court pressure. That's going to be a problem all season long, especially you look at the West, OKC, Houston. It's tough. I will say with Ant, this is just the next logical step in terms of him leveling up as a superstar. I mean, he's already like a top five-ish guy, depends on who you ask. But I think he has another level to reach, and I think he can genuinely like his upside is like best player in the world potentially. He's still only 24, which is just insane. And when I look at like Shea, I feel like that's a guy he's always kind of compared to. Obviously, Shea won MVPs, slightly above Ant. Ant openly discussed that he's trying to reach another level of like that Shea Luca type, and the mid range is just such a logical area of growth for him. And just specifically comparing him to Shea, I mean, Shea at this point is a better finisher. He's crafty, he has just an insane bag, and then the mid range is still better. I'm not going to say, oh, Ant one game. He's already a better mid range scorer than a guy who just dices up defenses every night from the mid range. But with that being said, Ant is on paper, I think he has a higher offensive upside than Shea because he's a more powerful finisher. He's already an elite shooter, already much better than Shea is as a shooter. He's younger than Shea. And then if you can get that mid range down, I think it just closes the gap. I'm not going to say at the end of this season that we're going to say is better than Shea all of a sudden. Shea's the reigning MVP. But I think it's going to be a lot closer than it is right now, and it certainly was last year.
Yeah, Shea's a great example. He was a shooting guard for a really long time. He didn't handle the ball very much, but he was very good at it. Ant is incredible at handling the ball, and he's got the kind of stop and go like Dwayne Wade had. That Heat team, they had Chalmers. Chalmers was fine. He ran the floor sometimes. Wade ran the floor a lot too, and obviously LeBron as well. But I see the potential there as being the main ball handler. I mean, in the half court at least, he can do it just like Dwayne Wade did. I see the similar play there, and I see the similarities to Shea Gilgeous. And yeah, I don't know if you read about Ant Edwards' burner account. Have you read about this?
Ant's burner?
Yeah, Ant had a burner, bro, and it showed up, and I think Shea's on this list of guys he's trying to. It's just a burner account, like a random burner account. It says "Believe that Jack." That's the account name. The
That's his.
caption
That's
is
his.
I know, dude. And the caption is write it down, then cross y'all out. And it says stay top dog, no leash. Repeat shoe of the year. Very, very discreet with who this guy is. Wins more wins than blank squad. I think that's Shea squad. It's like a four-letter word right there. Um, blank debate dead this year. Send blank home early. Probably like Thunder. Make blank taste my tap water. Dunk on, and then he lists four people. Cook blank till it looks like Shea again. Cook Shea till he quit quiet again. Hoop shoes with jeans come back. That's the whole list right there.
That's
Um,
insane.
yeah, this guy's gonna be on a tear. Uh, Needless to say, he's in there.
He's just out for blood this year, though, and I mean, just even listening to him on like media day and stuff like that, it's just clear that he's like reached a different level of maturity. I mean, year six in the league, I think that kind of makes sense. Age 24, um, but yeah, he's just like on a different level this season. He's just completely dialed in. The burner count's hilarious though.
It's
But yeah,
hilarious.
I'm happy you brought up that Dwayne Wade thing though, because that is definitely like historically the guy I see the most in Ant. Everyone always says Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant. I'm just not a big fan of comparing guys to two of the best players of all time. Not that Ant can't be an all time great and he's not already on that trajectory. It's just like Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant is a really high bar. And even like play style wise, I just think he's a little bit more like Dwayne Wade. So I'm happy you brought that up. And yeah, that's an awesome comparison.
Well, yeah, it's hard to find a play style for a guy who is going to be an all-time great because they get so unique, and that's why you can't compare guys to Kobe and Jordan because even if Ant gets to that level, he's not gonna be like them. He's gonna be himself. So later in his career, I'm gonna even regret comparing him to Dwayne Wade. I think because he's gonna be different. It's gonna be
Yeah.
great.
I mean, I do like the comp though. But yeah, no, that is true. And I mean, if personality wise, there's truly only one Ant Edwards. Without a doubt. Two more guys I want to talk about. Maybe we can do a little Blazers talk. I don't know. Defense is really solid. Fun young team. I'm gonna watch a good amount of games. Not a ton that stood out. Other than Jeremy Grant, like what the fuck? I just totally spazzed out. But two guys I want to highlight from the Timberwolves, who I was just blown away by their performances. First off is Jaden McDaniels, who has always been like my favorite Timberwolves player. Like even before I started like covering the team and stuff.
He was your
He just
guy.
he was yeah. You out of anyone, you could definitely attest. Like Jaden McDaniels has been my guy for years.
I think you had him MIP like last year and the year before.
Yeah, no, it was like always like Denny or Jaden.
Yeah,
One
it's
one of those
always.
two. But yeah, no, he was awesome. The defense is always there. I truly believe he's. I mean, this kind of hot take, maybe. I think he's the Timberwolves' best defender. Just so versatile. I mean, just a guy that can guard on the ball some of the best perimeter players in the league, and then he can even switch on to bigger players, and he can just wreak havoc off the ball. Just so valuable. The defense is always there, but especially towards the end of last season, we saw a lot more like offensive aggression from him, and I was super happy to see that trend continue. Just better decision making, punishing teams if there's a smaller guy on him, or like they even like put Clinton on him and they were just like leaving him open. He's like, okay, I'll make you pay for that now, and that's just such a big change. And I think he's going to be this team's like clear cut third option. Last few years, it's been like him or Naz Reid, depends on the night. One of those two guys is your third option. But yeah, this year it's just totally Jaden, and he's just so awesome. And as I mentioned earlier, he looked pretty comfortable initiating some offense, which was just a super encouraging sign because I've always thought he's more of like that OG Anunoby type guy where he's gonna do some stuff on the ball, he's gonna attack closeouts really well, really, really like borderline elite finisher. That poster he had on Jan Hansen was just absurd as well. But yeah, no, side note, but yeah, I mean the playmaking. If he can add a little bit more playmaking, I think that will change a lot of things for this Wolves team. So I was just blown away. Yeah, but any Jaden thoughts?
Well, it's good to compare him to OG Anunoby or Anunoby. OG just took a little bit longer, I think, to get to that kind of level, but both are very impressive. Both bring value to the team no matter how poorly they shoot. It's great to have. Mikal Bridges is another guy similar to that. Those guys are key pieces that get passed around to really good teams. So it's very clear that they bring value every single game. And, like you said, Jaden is one of the best finishers. He could be one of the best finishers in the league when he gets inside there. When he gets in the paint, it's terrifying. So to have a guy who can scare you on two sides of the ball and always bring value, um, no matter who you're facing, it's massive. I'm very impressed by him. Yeah, you were right all along. You're
Took a little while.
yeah. He's gonna be a rich man's Osar Thompson. Whatever. He's gonna be great. He's gonna be great.
He's just
And it
yeah.
takes a while for these guys. It does take a while to develop both sides.
That yeah, that is a great point, especially like I know I mentioned the OG thing, but like how you mentioned like OG, he took a little bit to reach this level offensively, and last year he was a guy averaging like 17 points a game or something. I think that's sort of the range we could see from Jaden. I don't know if he's gonna be like potentially pushing 20 a game. I think that's a lot to put on him, but like if his career high is like 12 a game. He averaged 14 in the playoffs last year. If he can even get to like 15, 16 a game, that's gonna be massive for this Timberwolves team that does they do lack a little bit of shot creation outside of Ant Edwards, and then obviously Randall is a very capable shot creator himself. And yeah, it's still crazy. I mean, Jaden's been in the league a while, but he's only 25. So a lot of
Yeah.
these guys, yeah, he's
I
just
mean,
truly hitting his prime.
where was Paul George when he was 25 years old? He was on the Pacers. He was probably averaging like 20, 23 maybe.
He's probably in the conference finals with LeBron.
Was he in the conference finals with LeBron when he was 25, dude?
No, but
Oh my
like
god.
it makes I mean, like even like a guy like Jalen Brown, like I don't know, it wasn't 25, but it took him a few years to like truly get going, and he just levels up every single year. Which is why Jalen Brown's another one of my favorite players.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like you said, I mean, OG and Mikal are really the guys that I like to compare Jaden to, just because they're like incredible defenders and a growing offensive game. We've already seen a lot of growth from the Knicks guys, obviously, but I feel like Jaden can reach that potential as well. And yeah, I mean, I always like I don't know, like Ant's obviously awesome. I'm just always like drawn to those guys who are like those like complementary options. For whatever reason, like even on the Celtics, like I would never say Jason Tatum's my favorite player. I would always say like Jalen Brown or Derek White. I don't know. I just always like those like second, third, fourth options that are just like awesome and they bring value in like so many different areas of the game.
Yeah, because when you get to a high level like that, those guys make the difference. Derek White made the difference for us. He really made the difference. This year Chris Boucher will make the difference, but that's okay. But yeah, guys like Jaden McDaniels do make the difference every year. OG, I just really want to talk about him again because he, like you said, those guys improve every year. OG still improves almost every single season. We saw him play the Cavs last night. He was the second most effective player on the court behind Brunson. Maybe the most. He might have been the most effective player on the court last night. Those guys bring it, and the compliment is important when you need more than one, which is almost every night.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, especially with this Timberwolves team, they're sending the house on Ant so much. Last night it was more so like Tamani Kamara was just like picking him up every single possession. One of the best perimeter defenders in the league. Didn't totally matter. But a lot of times Ant's getting double teams, and you just need guys like that that can bail you out, and that's huge. That was a problem for them against OKC in the conference finals. I think it might not be as big of a problem this year, especially with growth from Jaden. And yeah, I mean, going back to OG, I really, I mean, I didn't watch like the entire game because the Celtics were on, but I was like checking in on my computer with that Knicks game, and I was definitely impressed. And I also like just the offense that Mike Brown's running. It's a lot less heliocentric, and I think it's going to make them not just a more enjoyable team to watch, but like a much better team because they just have so much talent. I mean, Brunson's great, don't get me wrong, but it's like they can't depend on Brunson every single play. And I just want to see them get Mikal Bridges involved, who we've seen can be a really high level scorer. OG, same thing. Even Karl Anthony Towns. I just want to see everyone get a little bit more involved on that team
Yeah, it looks like they're catching on.
for sure. I think last guy before we wrap up, we got to talk about is Terrence Shannon Jr.
Let's go.
I know we're both big TSJ fans, and man, he was awesome last night. I know you might look at the box score 10, 5, and 5 and be like, yeah, whatever. He was fantastic, and for Chris Finch to trust him to close that game in a really tight game, it just speaks volumes to how NBA ready he is, and I think there's potential that he ends up earning a starting lineup spot. He's just so good. Yeah. Any TSJ thoughts?
He's ready for it. He's ready for it. And I hate when when teams who are in good positions to win go and draft like a 19-year-old. It doesn't matter how good they are. The Suns just took Malawak. They're not going to use him this year. They're not going to use Malawak all year. So if you want to win this year, you made the wrong pick. TSJ fell to the Timberwolves for no reason. It was the second round, wasn't it? The second round.
No, it was late first, but
Okay, late
still, I
first
mean,
round.
he was.
It's ridiculous that he fell. If you want to win, you take a guy who knows how to win. He's got enough experience in college. He was ready. And I think that it's really cool that Chris Finch recognizes the fact that he's ready for the big moment. He's been playing basketball for a long time. So he is ready. It's good to see him in. And it's better than. I love Dillingham, too. I love Dillingham. But it's better than Dillingham because Dillingham clearly isn't ready yet. Um, it's a good play.
I mean, same draft class. But yeah, it is crazy. I mean, they traded up for Dillingham. I know general manager Tim Conley just sort of loves that type of guard. I just think it's so tough on a competitive team. Obviously, they need a point guard, but yeah. I mean, and TSJ, he's just an absolutely perfect fit, and he's just a guy. It's like I think teams overthought him a little bit. It's like he's an older prospect, which on one hand, yeah, he doesn't have necessarily superstar upside, but he's gonna play a really valuable role for your team no matter what. He was just an elite college player. It's like, hey, guess what? This guy who was great in college is great in the pros. Shocker. Breaking news, guys.
Good.
This
He's
guy
already good in the
averaged
clutch.
23 at Illinois. Yeah, I mean,
He takes the majority of shots for his team when they need it. Why not get him in an NBA team and give him some like less pressure shots? Whereas then
and
there's Dillingham, and then Dillingham's the guy who you like. Kentucky plays when they need clutch shots, and they had him as their sixth man all year, and he chokes. And then you play him with the Timberwolves in the playoffs, and he chokes. He's not ready. So
yeah, no, I mean, I think for me with Shannon, what really stood out to me this game, and just even going back to like preseason summer league, obviously got to take that type of stuff with a grain of salt. But it's just how well he's developed as an all-around player already, despite being this older prospect. I think that's what really impressed me. His playmaking was just awesome last night. He didn't make a single bad decision, genuinely, on either end of the court. He was fantastic on those drive and kick plays. I always knew he could score, and even like his rookie season when he got some run in the Western Conference Finals, he was awesome. But he was mostly just like this guy's a blur out there. He's physically imposing, but he's also got great speed and he can attack the rim really well, create for himself, all that. But just the growth as a playmaker and even as a defender a little bit has really stood out to me. He's just making a lot of right reads. Like I said earlier, I think him and Jaden looked the most comfortable running the show at points for the Timberwolves last night, and that's crazy. I could potentially, I mean, it's one game, but if this growth continues, maybe he's the answer as that like lead initiator. More of a win than a traditional point guard, but he was just fantastic as a playmaker, and it's just honestly dope to see because it's like a lot of guys come into the league older, you just kind of write him off. Oh, he wasn't that good of a playmaker in college. He's just like a Benedict Mather and like scoring type. That's what I kind of thought of him coming into the league, which is still super valuable. He can be that microwave scorer, but he's just shown so much more, and that's massive for a team that's replacing Nikhil Alexander-Walker.
Huge. Yeah. Big loss there. I like him. Raptors look good too. But yeah, Shannon's mature. It's a little surprising, but it's not too surprising. It's pretty cool. If he doesn't turn it over 6 times in 12 minutes, I think he should start start right in there at that point. Yeah, give this guy some minutes.
Yeah, no, give him the keys for sure. Crazy thing about Shannon before we wrap up. Who do you think, if you had to guess these three players, Jaden McDaniels, Terrence Shannon, and Ant Edwards, who's the oldest?
Dude, that's weird.
Just guess.
Well, now it's Shannon, like, because you set me up for that. But that's bizarre. Is Shannon, so Shannon's 25?
Yeah. Shannon's
Okay.
25, 5-year college guy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean,
That is
I
nuts.
totally agree with your point though. It's if you're a team that wants to be good now, take an NBA ready guy who's played a bunch of years in college. It's just gonna work.
Yeah. I mean, that's why we got Shireman. We got Shireman on the Celtics because he's relatively experienced and he's not, it's not foreign to him being in big moments. So, and yeah, I don't like the hate towards, like, Tyrese Proctor went 49th overall on this past draft. That guy is a, like, 6'6" playmaking guard who's incredible. And who let the Cavs get him? That's insane. It's
I think he'll
nuts.
play a real role with the Cavs
He
this
should.
year,
He's so good.
genuinely.
It's, oh my God. I can't
It's
believe those guys fall.
And I mean, now that we're talking, I don't want to this is totally off topic. And we're gonna wrap up in a sec. But one team that they've gotten a ton of flack because there's this thing going around where it's the Bucks haven't signed any of their draft picks to a second contract in 11 years now. Giannis was the last guy they signed to that second contract. And when you look at a lot of names, especially in this Giannis era where they're trying to compete, it's so many of these raw prospects. And it's just what are we doing? It just, I mean, obviously these GMs are way smarter than us about basketball, so it kind of sounds stupid to say, but it's just if you're a good team, draft the experienced guys, especially now with so many guys returning for more seasons in college. I think that will help the draft process a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, they drafted AJ Johnson. He was like 17 years old. Like, were you gonna wait 5 years? Were you gonna wait 5 years to actually like start that guy? He's
And
great.
then they throw him in the Kuzma trade.
Yeah, for like as nothing. He was a tiny piece because it was Middleton that was the main part of that. It didn't make sense. There are plenty of young guards that you could have taken. I mean, Tyler Kolek, he's a good piece on the Knicks, and then Connor Gillespie, the former Villanova guy. I mean, nothing wrong with settling for guys like that. It seems to work out. And then they gave KPJ like 9 minutes last night. So I don't know. It's really it lacks direction. It's indecisive, and I think yeah, it's poor management.
Yeah, no, for sure. Just kind of a weird team. I like the Kolek shout. He's a fun young guy.
Yeah, he's good.
He's solid for sure. Any thoughts on the Blazers before we wrap up? We can maybe mention the Billups thing. That's just crazy. Or just any of the Blazers players, since we're talking about T Wolves Blazers, or just officially call it.
Yeah, the Blazers are lucky that Chauncey Billups got arrested. Let's just go with that. See you, Chauncey. Sorry for all the NBA players that got into gambling debt, and Chauncey took advantage of them. So let's leave it at that. You can talk about Denny. I know he's your guy, and he looks incredible. So maybe finish with
Yep.
Denny.
Let
Yeah.
the chips fall into place. That's all I'll say about Chauncey. Yeah, Denny. I mean, not his best game necessarily. I think he's gonna have a monster season. We saw it at the second half of last season when he averaged 23 points a game. Not super efficient last night, but it's just one game and just in transition, he's just such a blur. He's genuinely one of the best transition players in the league, and that's one reason why I'm definitely pretty high on this Blazers team is because I'm anticipating that second half of the season to be real for Denny and him to be producing at that 20 points a game range. And then I also expect Shaden Sharp to take a little bit of a leap, which we saw a little bit last night, and his defense looked a lot better than it has been in the past. And yeah, Drew Holiday looked like a perfect fit. Donovan Clinton, super excited. Blazers are a cool team. I don't know. They're just the team that's probably not going to be all that good that I just kind of like.
Well, they know their path. They'll have a good year, and then they get Dame next year. It's a good track that they're on.
It definitely is. Yeah, I mean, sometimes you just gotta let the chips fall into place. I'll say it again, but it's just wise words from a indecent man. But yeah, no, I mean, he's got mob ties. That's crazy. Shout out Tony Soprano.
Shout out Tony Soprano, Chauncey Billups, boy.
I woke up to that shit. I mean, we were talking about this before, but I literally woke up to that shit. I was like, what the fuck? Because when I saw the video, I was like, okay, was he like, maybe like trying to like, sell games or something? No, he's doing an illegal poker operation. What?
Whatever, Chauncey. There's no way he's making much money off that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I prefer talking about stuff that happens on the court. Feel like
Yeah,
it was worth mentioning at the end of the show. But yeah, any closing thoughts before we officially call it a show?
yeah. My closing thought is I would have bet the Terry Rozier under anyways, and that's where I'm gonna leave it. So
Smart man.
yeah, but I appreciate you having me here, and I love talking about games, especially when we had some heaters the other couple nights. So appreciate
Yeah,
it.
absolutely. Appreciate you hopping on the show again. Yeah, we'll have to do it again sometime. Maybe we'll run it back with the All Star draft that we did last year. That was fun.
Got to do that.
All right, for sure. Appreciate it, man. Take care.
Yeah. Thanks, Eamon.
All right, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Castles Cast. Once again, shout out to Charlie for hopping on the show. It was a ton of fun talking hoops with him. I'll catch you guys in the next episode.